Okay, we're going to talk about last night's games. I watched them both last night, and there's a lot to talk about between these two games. A lot of things happened. One thing's for sure, the 76ers didn't look very good last night. I heard the price for the tickets were just outrageously expensive, and people were leaving with 8 minutes to go in the game. They were pouring out of the stadium. This was a complete domination by the Brooklyn Nets. And this team was on a slide for a while, but Durant was not playing. Um, Things were a mess with Harden on the team, as it seems to be with most teams he goes to. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But this was a beatdown, and we look at the stats and the plus minus charts. The Nets were just off the charts on everything. They're shooting; they were on fire. Kyrie Irving was stunningly amazing last night. Did most of his damage in the first half. So did Durant. Durant came out of the gates looking like he was going to score 40. I picked was wondering on the over under. He didn't quite make it, but he didn't play much in the fourth either. He didn't need to. His 3-point percentage, he didn't take a lot of threes, but his field goal percentage was almost, we see here, 58%. Drummond played well for the time that he played. He got injured and didn't play a ton. Him and Embiid were going at it early. That was fun to watch. The first quarter was really fun because the Nets came out with a nasty attitude in my eyes, and Philly was soft in most regards. Big surprise for the Nets. Where is it here? Points. Points. Was James Johnson off the bench. I thought he played outstanding. He was a surprise off the bench for the Nets. Seth Curry played a phenomenal game. He looked great. The Nets looked really solid. The trade for Harden and Ben Simmons is paying off. We haven't even seen Ben Simmons on the floor yet. Interesting that he was booed off the court last night without even playing. He touched the ball towards the end of the game, and the crowd just gave it to him. Not a huge Ben Simmons fan. I think he's a really good ball player. We'll see what he does when he comes back. One good thing about being on the Nets is he doesn't need to score. And that seems to be the big problem with him. He's not a scorer. In my eyes, Ben Simmons is a lot like Draymond Green, plays like Draymond Green. He's a point forward, just like Draymond Green. He plays great defense. He is very good passer. He's a playmaker. So, people are who they are. And he got a bad rap in Philly, and yeah, he some of it he deserved. So anyway, the beatdown last night was real. They were up by 35, I think, at one point, or 37. It was just out of control. And when you look at Philly, they shot horribly. And the big story with Philly is the James Harden story. Um, you know, he's a phenomenal player, but I don't know. Something's been different with him this year. And he even said at one point he's not really interested in being the guy anymore. Well, he's not the guy, and he shot horribly last night. And Philly did not look very good for as high seeded as they are. And Joel Embiid is everything. Plus, I think the MVP race is between him and the Joker. I think those two are the two best players in the league right now, and they've been showing it night in, night out. But Philly, defensively, they had no answer for the Nets. Couldn't do anything. They really, really was weak. A weak showing for them. I don't know where Philly goes from here, but when you look at the stats, they're all minus. Sure, they shot crappy last night. There's no doubt about that. But they had no answer. They had no answer. And the problem with the Nets as they go into the playoffs is the home games, unless they change the vaccination regulations in the league, Kyrie's not going to play. So I expect the Nets to finish strong here. They looked really good, and this team is going to be scary in the playoffs. I think they have a great chance of contending in the East, but I think a lot of that's going to depend on the vaccination status. Does New York continue to hold out Kyrie? Do they continue to stand on that? I'm not getting into that. If they do, probably going to be tough for them to get to the finals. But Durant looked phenomenal last night. Kyrie looked phenomenal last night. Seth Curry is fitting right in with this team. They got some good bench players. The Cam James Johnson looked really, really good. He was +9, 16 points in 22 minutes. Shot 85% from the field, so 6 for 7 from the field, 3 for 3 from threes. So he was a big factor. I don't have much to say about Philly. I don't know where they go from here. I think they're in trouble. I don't think Harden is going to be the answer. He will have his games, but they certainly did not show up last night. We'll see what happens moving forward. Okay, on to the second game. I watched this game this morning, and it was an outstanding game. I'm a Golden State Warriors fan. Let me reword that. I'm a Seth Curry fan. When he came into the league, Steph Curry. When he came into the league, I started watching, and I turned into a Warriors fan. I'm a diehard Celtics fan as well. I don't know if you can be fans of two teams, but I am. That's the way it is. I'm a fan of players. It's kind of like in the pro football. I'm a fan of Tom Brady, so I followed him down to the Buccaneers. Kind of stopped watching the Patriots because they took on Cam Newton, and that was a disaster. Anyway, back to this game last night. This game was an outstanding game. The Warriors were down 14 in the third quarter, and they went on a tear in the third. Ended up going up, I think it was 3 or 4 they were leading by, or 5, going into the fourth quarter. They just clamped down defensively, and Jokic was uncontrollable in the first half. He had a great first half. He ended up with what he ended up with here. He almost had a triple-double. He was one shy at 23 points. Most of those points were in the first half. The problem with the Warriors, they don't have anybody to really combat him. But what I saw last night was Looney. Looney really stepped up defensively and was bodying him up. He was banging with him and made it tough on him. I think Jokic is probably if he's not the MVP, it's going to be Embiid. I think one of those two guys are going to win the MVP. I don't think there's anybody else really even close at this point. And as much as I like Curry, he hasn't had an MVP season. But when you look at the Denver's an outstanding team, they're really good. But when the Warriors clamped down defensively, Denver struggled. And that happened late in the game, too. Denver came back in the fourth, actually went up by, I think, 4 points. And the Warriors battled back. It looked like the momentum had shifted. Denver had lost the lead, come back, taken the lead. And but then what I saw at the end of that game was the absolute clamp down. There was 5 trips in a row at the end of this game where Denver either turned the ball over or there was a shot clock violation or very close to a shot clock violation, 5 consecutive plays. Warriors at that point, when we look at the Warriors stats, what really sticks out, Curry played outstanding. He's the one who brought them back into the game when they're down 14. He had a 20-point, was it a 20-point third quarter, 18-point third quarter? He was just on fire. Dude was unconscious. In the fourth quarter, Denver hedged their bets and doubled up on Curry to try to keep the ball out of his hand, especially late in the game. And we turned to Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole had 2 tremendously big threes at the end of this game. He ended up with these plus 29, player of the game in my eyes. So he was plus 29, played 34 minutes. And the thing with the Warriors is they're starting to go to a different lineup, at least for now, until Draymond gets back. It's going to be interesting to see when Draymond gets back what this lineup looks like and how they move forward. Draymond's coming back next week. I'm pretty excited about it. They have not been the same team without him. But last night they played well. They played really well. Clay, really bad. What was his shooting? He shot horribly. 7 for 20. So 35% shooting for Clay. He's still not back yet. 2 for 8 from threes. Not good. Curry 5 for 12 from threes, so. And Curry 52% shooting. That's pretty good. Curry played a good game, and you can see it in the stats plus 18 over there. But the real standout was Jordan Poole, and hats off to the workhorse known as Kevin Looney or Kevon Looney. Did a nice job on Jokic in the second half, as much as you can do. The guy's a load. Jokic's a load, man. He's hard to deal with. So great game. Good win for the Warriors. Those are the recaps of the 2 games there. Looking forward to seeing what comes out of the return of Draymond. And it looks like James Wiseman's close to returning as well. He's playing in the G League in 2 games for Santa Cruz. He should be back next week. I'm hoping he starts to get some minutes, and we'll see what this team's really all about. When they have everybody healthy, which they have not had yet this year. And they're still third in the West. They took a big hit lately. Lost 7 out of 9. They just didn't look good, and I was getting really frustrated with them too. But they, in my eyes in basketball, there's no excuse for not playing defense. None. None. I'm a basketball player. I played some college ball. I played since I was 3 years old, and I was. There's just no excuse for not playing defense. You either play hard and play defense, or you don't. There's some skill sets, but a lot of it is just desire. So it was tough to watch when teams start not playing defense, and I start watching. It's like, nah, I don't think so. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that recap of the two big games last night. Got a full slate of games. Probably will recap and maybe watch the Celtics tonight. Who else do we got going on? That looks like a good matchup. Not much else, is there? I don't know. A lot of these teams playing not really good matchups. Cleveland, Miami could be interesting. We'll keep an eye out for it. But anyway, have a great day, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this recap. If you did, give it a big thumbs up, smash the like button, and smash the alert button. I'm going to try to be doing these on a daily basis from here on out through the playoffs. I love basketball. It's time to get online and talk about hoops. All right, later.